Ooh, well, that was a pretty good session. Time for bed. Alright, let's get some rest. What's this? Oh, let's pop it in. Alright, let's see what this guy has. Hopefully it's something interesting.
If I asked you, what is the hardest FNAF game, what would you tell me? I bet 99% of you watching this video won't even know about this game. Which is fair. This game was never intended for a general audience, but rather as a gift for a specific person. Presenting to you One Night at Frogger's, created for the YouTuber Frogger25. You may already be thinking to yourself, a game with only one night, how can it be so difficult? Then join me on this rabbit hole as I explain my review for this insane game, and why it's the hardest FNAF game ever. Released on the 27th of February 2022 by the developer Mr. Monity, Frogger25 would be the first to play and stream this game. The story of this game is nothing convoluted. You're playing as an intruder who has supposedly tried to hijack Frogger25's YouTube channel in an attempt to delete his anime as hell videos. You're being stopped by his channel members, who are his first 6 channel members that are always shown in the outro of his videos. But the funny thing is that they don't seem to appear all at once, but rather after every checkpoint in ascending order. The main gameplay is very basic. You can turn corners to shut the doors and use cameras. Except the gimmick of the camera is that you don't have the ability to manually select cameras, but rather every 3.5 seconds it changes cameras in a numerical order. Power is pretty funny because it drains really dang fast. When the first phone call finishes, the first checkpoint is activated with the most unenthusiastic tone in any FNAF fan game.
Wow, you did it.
The first entity is a steroid junk freak that goes by the name of Aiden Moore. He will come charging into your office via your doors. Staring at the entity via the doors will stall him out, but once he comes to a certain distance, you will have to keep that door closed. After 3 minutes, you'll reach the next checkpoint and the game will compensate you with a measly 100% extra power. The next entity, the Year Boy, requires you to activate a bus that should blow up on the camera he is on. However, every designated bus to a camera has a time penalty before activating, so it is entirely possible for a bus to activate too late, requiring you to send in another bus that probably has a bigger time penalty, or you could be too early and have to reset the same time limit.
Where is he? Oh wait, the buses aren't camera related. This guy's gonna be so hard, man.
At this point is where the game begins to genuinely get difficult. A mechanic that requires delay is something that you've probably never seen in a FNAF fan game. From the very first FNAF, we've had mechanics such as the doors that are quite literally instantaneous. You see an animatronic and it won't have to require a lot of preparation. This, on the other hand, will require a lot of trial and error so players can be able to notice patterns and predict the entity's movements. It doesn't help the fact that you can't always confirm if you did it right, considering the cameras don't change at your will. Well, I did say in the start this game is not intended for a general audience. When I was playing through this checkpoint for the first time, I noticed a little trick on my part. Bus 2 and 4 can blow up the only 2 possible cameras that Yearboy can split towards. So I decided, by spamming these 2 buses over and over again, this can eliminate all possibilities for Yearboy to progress. By practicing this strategy, this section quickly became a piece of cake. Now on the next checkpoint, where the phone guy sounds far more different.
Hello again, it's me, Frogger25. You may notice my voice is a bit different, but you know, it's totally me. I have a bit of a cold.
The next entity to progress goes by the name of Matt Wachowski. His design is very much identical to the costume animatronic from the Chuck E. Cheese rebooted fan game. He splits from Cam 2 like your boy Aiden, but will instantly appear at your doors. Upon luring towards the doors, he will give you a short period of time to react before he lunges at you. Not checking in within 10 seconds of him being at the door will kill you regardless. Now, why the actual heck is the previous entity such a pain to learn, but then afterwards it's slightly easier. I really hope it doesn't get more difficult from here on. After another 3 minutes, a frog with very weird letters and numbers in his name, otherwise known as Cody Hacker, comes from the cones located in your office. As he peeps out, the 5 frogs on your desk become active with some statistics. You can drag these frogs to Cody, which take hit points and power away. Well, I hope you are good with math, as this character requires you to make rational and logical decisions in order to save your resources. For most people, the most logical decision is dealing the most damage and saving the most power. However, this combination of power and damage varies every time this character spawns, so now we know where RNG is present. 3 minutes later, and I've pretty much run out of ideas to make the script funny. The 5th entity, known as Maximum 56, is, well, oh boy. Works to opposition against the Yearboy. You know how I say you need to use selected buses on the cameras to stop Yearboy? Well, this cheeky snob can infiltrate your plans. You must not, under any circumstances, have the bus to hit Maximum 56. Otherwise, he will trigger a fire alarm, rendering you unable to use your cameras. He moves camera to camera via ascending order with the exception of camera 1. You won't believe how frustrating this frog made me feel. To your surprise, it was not the mechanic itself. It was simply my lack of knowledge on how he truly worked. In my mind, I believe he functioned with a randomized time limit and I had to wait it out so he'd switch cameras. This was far from the case. His movement depends on the amount of times you flip your camera. The number will decrease depending on the checkpoint you are at. After flipping your cameras enough times, you are able to manipulate his position on the map. I made sure his position was located at either camera 2 or 4, so I was able to apply the strategy for Yearboy safely. On to the final channel member, we have the Toilet Frog. Randomly, when you face your doors, you can appear menacingly progressing by crawling through your door hallways. Weirdly, he will always place your mouse at the far side or whatever door you're facing. His movement is dependent on your mouse movement. Yep, you heard me. When moving your mouse extremely slow, he will just, well, not progress at all. But if you pick up the pace, then he will begin to progress. Careful on moving your mouse too fast, otherwise he will just instantly get you. Now, surely that should be it, right? Unfortunately...
If not even he can take you down, I might have to do this myself.
The main star of the show is the easiest frog in the game, quite literally similar to Golden Freddy. Hey, by the way, try to guess how long this night is. 22 minutes, and that's only if you can beat the game deathless. On average, the amount of time it would probably take you to complete would probably be equivalent to finishing FNAF 1 from nights 1 to 7, assuming you don't die. Don't forget how much difficulty contribution that night length actually has. Now, after those 22 minutes of pain and suffering, you win. But the developer teases you with his passive aggressiveness.
I don't know if you expected like an ending or anything, but like, you know, like this isn't very impressive for you to beat. Like this is pussy shit, you know what I mean? Like,
and announces this crazy anime plot twist.
Plot twist. Since you won, that means that the evil dude, the intruder, took over your channel. Oh no! And he took over the channel members. And now in Custom Night, you'll be playing as Frogger himself, and you have to win your channel back by beating all 20.
You can repeat that how many times you want. There is a goddamn Custom Night! You can already see why I gave this the label on the title. Before I go on to rant about this section of the game, let me just give my personal clearance on the game overall. I really like how this game takes what we know and love about FNAF and just makes it completely ridiculous. Hell, the TV in front of your office has some of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in FNAF. He has 97 mental illnesses and have committed chicken wing. Sad face. 1 TB child brine giveaway. You should KYS now. Play now. Wait, what even is this? There is, for whatever reason, an actual Easter egg when you press play now. Like, an actual playable game. The gameplay is fairly similar to the 1.0 tunnels in Oblitera's Castle, which has the fake free roam vibe to it. The objective is really simple. You need to exit the maze from a door around the area while trying to avoid Nightmare Frogger by using the night vision camera.
Boom.
Wow, you did it.
Wow, you did it.
I honestly have no idea what that means. What a cool little Easter egg to have regardless. You gotta love the humor for this game. It kinda reminds you of the old 39 game. The visuals, the dark humor, and satire story are almost identical to each other. It's like a shell, crafted to appear normal, but on the inside, the game acts out completely opposite to your expectations. The only major difference between those two has to be the gameplay. 39 consistently plays out basically throughout the entire game. Frogger's, on the other hand, is way more unpredictable, with each enemy requiring different fields of skill. Toilet requiring precision, your boy requiring logic and problem solving, Matt and Frogger requiring reaction speed. The amount of mental endurance is crazy. But, do you want to know something even more crazy? Well, glad you made it this far into the video, because this is the part you were all waiting for. For the past, wait, how long even is this script so far? 10 minutes. For the past 10 minutes. The max mode.
Boy, that main game sure was a toughie. I'm sure custom night can't get any worse than that. What?
Okay, for real now, I'll explain. I'll be explaining all the characters in full detail, as the developer thought it was a fantastic idea to write out in terms of click team code. Firstly, forget everything you knew about the game, because this mode is on a completely different level to what I'm about to explain. Secondly, I'm also going to be using two versions of the game. The public release I have been using this entire time, and the private build that Frogger currently possesses. Starting with the easiest frog, maximum 56. A countdown variable will increment by 1 every time the camera is up. If this variable is equal to another variable that I will call target variable, he will then change position. He starts off at camera 2 and changes camera via ascending order, so he goes to camera 3, 4, 5 and back to 2. This target variable is dependent on Maxim's AI, going as high as 20 or even as low as 1, meaning he would move every cam flip. The only major difference between both builds is that Maxim's part is now reversed. Next up is Frogger 25, the main star of the show. Every time the camera comes down, a countdown variable will increment by 1. His target value can go as high as 22 or as low as 3. When he becomes visible, he will give the user a brief period which can range between 1 to 2 seconds, depending on his AI. The prior build, however, has drastically changed Frogger. Instead of the classic Golden Freddy mechanic, it's more of a duality mechanic. Upon appearing, he'll say 1 or 2 voice lines.
Touch me. Leave me alone.
You will have to interact with him upon his request. If he says the first voice line, you will have to hover your cursor over him. But if he says the second voice line, you will have to turn away or open your monitor. His target variable has decreased by 2 numbers, so you can now appear every time you turn your camera down. Thirdly is Cody. His countdown variable starts off at 1. Every time you turn to face the center of your office, the variable is incremented by 1. His target variable varies between 3 to 22. When he appears, you'll be rendered unavailable to turn corners. The frogs on the front of your desk vary in terms of damage and power. Damage varies from 12 to 20, while power varies from 2 to 10%. His AI will always be equal to his HP. The private build has made this much more difficult by randomizing his health between values 0 to 80 plus the previous 12 to 20 range. Along with that, the power now ranges from 4 to 12%. On both builds, however, he does not have a timer in which he can kill the player, meaning he can pretty much just stay indefinitely. However, in the private version, you can now turn away from Cody, but this will result in death. Now it's time for Aiden Moore, the first frog we are introduced to. Now, this is where the animatronics become extremely technical, so try to pay attention. He will possess a variable known as camera cooldown that ranges from 0.02 seconds to 19.02 seconds. When his cooldown reaches 0 and his camera is not the current active camera on the monitor, he will progress. He may also progress while the camera is changing, which is when this screen shows. But you cannot move any further than the current active camera. Now, throughout the entirety of this video, I will call this the camera algorithm. When he arrives at your door, a variable known as door cooldown, ranging from 1 to 20 seconds, will count down only if the player is not facing him. When dealt with, his entire cycle will reset. The only difference between the public and private build is that he goes to the left side at the start of the night, while his path is randomized in the public build. For the third hardest frog, I give it for Yearboy. Due to following the camera algorithm, he is incredibly problematic at 20 AI, and I will explain why later. One more thing is that when he enters the vent, exactly 3 seconds after his last bang, or 11 seconds after he enters the vent, he will have a 0.02 second window to get hit by bus 5. On the number 2 spot, I give it for Toilet. Turning to the doors adds to his target variable, which ranges from 2 to 21. When he appears, a calculation is performed. It will take the speed of the mouse cursor every frame and add it onto a second counter. A third counter is also calculated that determines when he moves. This counter ranges from 2000 to 39,000. When the second counter is greater than the third counter, he will progress by 10 frames of his animation. His current animation is 50 frames long, and if he goes past 50 frames, you will be jump scared. However, Toilet has adapted the biggest change from the public to private build. You are required to parkour across his obstacle courses via your mouse, and going off path at any time will lead to death. A timer will also count down, ranging from 0.5 to 4.3 seconds, deciding when Toilet will progress in his animation. There are 5 different parkour levels, with a few having special gimmicks. On the third level, a pineapple and a recolored Vinny will spin around bridging a path. You will then need to hover over these objects to get through. The next level contrasts the previous. A geometry dash icon will chase the cursor and kill the player if they hit the icon. Writing this part of the script was really damn funny for me for some reason. For the hardest frog of this game, wait, he's not even a frog, I give it Matt Wachowski. Mostly because of this. Okay, but seriously though, he also follows the camera algorithm. However, when you view the hallway he is in, he will lunge at the player. On lower AIs, there is a cooldown to when he will lunge at you. But on 20 AI, he will lunge at the player instantly. It makes it worse that his lunging speed is also dependent on his AI. Jeez. The private build has made him more favourable on the bright side. Instead of the green 10-second insta-kill timer, he has upgraded to 70.5 seconds until he will kill you. Now that is all the animatronics covered in detail. Now, you may be asking yourself, why is there a private build? Well, to get the elephant out of the room, the public build is impossible. Matt's insta-kill timer is too short, being near inhumane to be able to always get to him, but let's just say you are capable of reaching Matt every time. But here I present you the nail on the coffin. Power. You start off with a measly 300%, and let me address this. Forget everything you knew about seeing and surviving, because now the entire night is controlled by a music player. The player will play in the Hall of the Mountain King with a duration of 2 minutes and 30 seconds. But that doesn't seem too long, right? Here's the cheeky thing. The music player will always shut off every time you turn on the camera. Imagine how many times you will need to do this throughout the entire night. Frogger25 performed a calculation of the entire power demand throughout the night. In just over 4 minutes, you will have to perform about 15 Yearboy cycles, taking about 400% power, 20 Cody attacks, taking 120% power, and 4 Aiden attacks, which will eat up an additional 84% power. This totals to a grand 604% power. There are a multitude of other reasons to why it's impossible, but I don't want to make this video longer than it already is. Thankfully, power is now upgraded with a boosted 1000%, but to balance this out however, the video player's length has been increased to 6 minutes and 10 seconds. But due to the video player stopping mechanic, the estimated night length is around 8 minutes and 30 seconds. I will now make a further detailed explanation on the max mode and cover some strategies. From this point on, I will only be talking about the private build, and the footage I will be using to cover is the current BB as right in the script. Let's dive in. Within the first seconds, Frogger sends off a couple buses. However, the more you watch his runs, the more you will notice a very distinct pattern in how he sends his buses. This is not a coincidence. Frogger intentionally sends his buses at very specific intervals. Time to dive into the monster that is Yearboy. Because Yearboy's camera timer only ranges between 0.1 to 19.1 seconds, you can easily deduce that at 20 AI, he can move almost instantly when there is no camera facing him. There is a strategy to counter this, however. You will need to remember the full camera rotation of the camera system. The camera switches every 3.5 seconds, and there are 5 cameras, meaning a full cycle will take 17.5 seconds. The 17.5 second camera cycle is half of what I will refer to as a yearboy cycle. For this explanation, I will be using 3 different screens: the actual view, the camera view, and his relative map position. I will also be referring to the yearboy spreadsheet shared in every Frogger stream. The first bus that is advised to send is bus 4 at around 2 seconds, then bus 2 at around 2.5 seconds. Bus 4 will hit camera 5 at 7 seconds, the time at which the second camera switch will exactly happen. I hadn't mentioned this, but yearboy has a randomized path at the start of the night. Getting hit by a bus resets him to cam 1 and switches his path. The goal is to get yearboy headed towards the left side at the start of a camera cycle. This is done to make sure he is stored efficiently by the changing camera mechanic. Otherwise, letting him in at cam 5 during this period will cause him to go to the vent 100 milliseconds later. The next bus to be sent is bus 3 at around 3.8 seconds. This will hit yearboy at the 4th camera switch, manipulating his path to be sent at camera 5. Once again, this will stall him from entering the vent as the camera will be facing camera 5 during this period. The next bus to be sent is bus 5 at 11.3 seconds. Keep this bus in mind throughout the entire explanation. Then get ready to send bus 4 at 12.4 seconds. Remember when bus 2 was sent 2.5 seconds into the cycle? Now, this is where it becomes useful. At 17.5 seconds towards the end of a cam cycle, bus 4 and bus 2 should hit near simultaneously. In a technical context, the camera will reset back to camera 1, giving yearboy an opportunity to move, but this opportunity is blown away when bus 4 hits, switching him up to the left side. But due to the camera's not loading in time, he will easily slip away at cam 1 and charge at the left part. That is why when bus 2 hits, it will reset him back to camera 1, where the camera will be fully loaded. He will now be stuck in camera 1, falling into the camera algorithm. Now, surely that should be it, right? No. This current cam cycle is the first half of the yearboy cycle. As mentioned earlier, 2 cam cycles are required to be considered a full yearboy cycle, with both of them having separate circumstances. For the second cam cycle, yearboy will be determined for the right side. As mentioned earlier on, he must be at the left side at all costs so he can carry on being stalled. So you must do what you did earlier with bus 4 by sending it at 19.5 seconds, then go to send bus 3 at 20 seconds. But wait! Bus 3 will hit yearboy at 30 seconds, 1 second before a camera switch. Isn't the whole point to keep yearboy still on the cameras? That would have been the case on this previous strategy, advising you to repeat your actions for every single camera cycle. However, the previous strategy had 2 flaws. 1, it was too power consuming, and 2, it didn't provide enough time for other actions between setting buses. Do you still remember that cheeky bus 5? This new strategy aims to save up more power and give better results. As soon as bus 3 hits on this cycle, 0.4 seconds later, which is 30.4 seconds into a yearboy cycle, he will end up in the vents. If you paid attention to yearboy's character description, then congratulations. Exactly 11 seconds after he enters the vent, he enters his 20 millisecond window. This equates to 41.4 seconds, exactly 30 seconds after 11.4 seconds, the same interval bus 5 was sent. A perfect match. The dangers for this strategy that it's much riskier to miss his window, but it's heavily recommended in the max mode run for the sake of power and time. At this point in time, it's 6.4 seconds after the end of a yearboy cycle, always ending at 35 seconds. Do not let your guard down, as you should still send your buses preparing for his attacks. Luckily from this point on, he will be determined for the left side at the start of his cycle, so it's now unnecessary to send bus 4 2 seconds into the cycle. Oh my goodness, that was a lot of information to take in. Luckily, that's the hardest strategy uncovered and will only get easier from there. Following Frogger 25, at 7 seconds, he shuts off the right door for a split second. This is done as Matt Wachowski will spawn at the exact frame according to the camera algorithm. He then switches to activate toilet. This is an ideal strategy as nothing interesting happens during this period. and then he could quickly deal on Matt or Aiden on his next switch. You may also notice throughout his runs, he constantly flips the cameras. This is also intentional as to manipulate Maximum's position. His strategy throughout an entire cam cycle is that he will always start off at cam 2, and after he's sending your buses, you must get him to end up at cam 4. After a toilet attack, carry on playing until he's dropped off at cam 2, reaching the end of a cam cycle. There is little memorization required, and it mostly requires the player's instincts. Frogger lets Cody stay in his office for a while before resetting him. This is not because Frogger is ignorant, but rather due to the circumstances of the max mode. When Cody comes out the curtains, he will have a 1.5 second long animation before revealing his numbers. Too long of a wait for a mode that is heavily dependent on timing, so by slotting him in at the right time, Cody is open for an opportunity of attack. Now that 35 seconds has passed, no more explanations will be needed, as the strategy will become repetitive after 35 seconds. Why? 35 seconds is not only when a full Yearboy cycle is complete, but it's also when Aiden is ready to reset his entire cycle. Oh, I've never talked about Aiden, haven't I? At 10.5 seconds, Aiden will appear at the left door as he is determined for the left side at the start of the night. At 20 AI, he'll have a kill time of exactly 10 seconds if the player chooses to not stall him. In the context of the max mode, this will overlap with Yearboy, making it completely unplausible. Here is the current strategy for Aiden's cycle. When he starts off at the left side, he needs to be stalled a minimum of 2 seconds. An ideal method of stalling is by getting Toilet to spawn at the left side and wait for him to advance by 40 frames, or 2 seconds. This is due to bus 3 needing to be sent at 20 seconds and having to handle Cody and Maximum afterwards. It is recommended to keep the door shut for 1 full second on Aiden. Aiden will be stalled for 1 second on the cameras before heading to the right door. At this point in the cycle, Aiden will be at the right door at 24.5 seconds, killing the player at 34.5 seconds. Now this time, you need a stalling for a minimum of 5.4 seconds by having 2 toilet attacks on the right, each lasting close to 2.7 seconds. Doing this right will postpone his kill timer to 41 seconds. This is done due to bus 2 and 3 needing to be sent at 37 and 39 seconds, so the player now has a plausible opportunity to deal with Aiden. Shut the right door at 40.5 seconds, keeping it shut for 0.5 seconds. Aiden will be stalled on the cameras until 10.5 seconds into the cam cycle, and then the cycle repeats itself. Finally, we still have a strategy to go over for Matt Wachowski. Fortunately, there is not much of a strategy to discuss, as it tends to mostly require aim. I've already mentioned in the start about how 7 seconds he will appear on the right door. From this point on, Matt will keep switching doors. There is no need to manipulate his camera algorithm, however, he will always be skipped on an Aiden attack. It's not too much to worry, as his attack timer is longer to handle this. But wait, what about power? Currently it is estimated that there will be a leftover of 30% power at the end of max mode, which equates to just 5 seconds of power left. Not only can any mistakes be made with the characters, but you must not accidentally use the cameras or doors too much either. That is finally it! That's all the strategies used throughout the max mode. Sounds like a pain to learn? That is exactly why I call this the hardest fan game. Take 8 minutes and 30 seconds of timings, reactions, memorizations and speed all compiled to frustrate and absolutely destroy your sanity. And if you mess up like one tiny bit, you go all the way back right to the beginning. No checkpoints this time, buckaroo. I swear, name any fan game you could argue could be the hardest fan game, and I will give you hundreds of reasons why this game will always reign supreme. The max mode for this game is estimated to be the top hardest for both max mode lists. Top hardest for years to come. Top hardest for probably forever, unless there is a sane soul out there up for the challenge to create a fan game that could possibly be harder than One Night at Frogger's. Thank you all so much for watching this video. This has probably been the hardest video I made so far, but it was such a fun ride to be able to create it. I want to give a special thanks to Frogger25 for assisting me heavily throughout the creation of this video, and for having an iron will to go 110 hours and counting into this nightmare. Don't forget to give a special thanks to Mr. Monity as well. After all, he was the madman who created this game. Oh, and don't forget to thank Frogger's channel members. Irreplaceable. Completely irreplaceable. And that's not all, folks.
Well, that's 30 minutes of my life I'll never get back. Time to go to bed. I'll get back on attempts tomorrow. Hopefully I can TV. What? Who turned the lights on? No. It can't be you. It can't be you. No.